Happy Wine Wednesday.
Canadian wine lovers, Carl's Wine Club members, Mira Boucher, all of you across the country. Happy Wine Wednesday. Nice to see you, Mira. I love your shirt. You look pretty
we
good.
just got back from wine country. We just got back from Niagara. So mine says a Chardonnay.
Uh-huh.
And what's yours say?
And mine it's Laley, proudly Canadian. So I thought it was darn close from our own Carl's Wine Club logo. So I'm like, okay, we need that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what a trip in wine country, a full week visiting wineries. We're going to recap the whole thing. We're going to talk about the voting for Carl's Wine Club Winery of the Year, Ontario and BC. We're going to talk Prince Edward County. We're going to talk, there's so much to talk about, but I will also want to talk about in depth about Laley Vineyard, Stonebridge Winery. It's our winery feature. Just like last week, we are taking this winery with us all week as well, because we sure believe that it is such an incredible lineup of wines. And so we wanted to make sure that everyone knows about it. And we had such an amazing party there last week in wine country. So welcome everybody across the country. We are excited. It's Wednesday. It's 5 o'clock here in Summerland, BC, in the Okanagan Valley. Beautiful, sunny, but a little chilly day. But yeah, great week to talk about wines. A lot going on. We are starting to talk a lot about the Pan-Canadian Masterclass, the BC edition. The 2.0 is going to happen June 15th at Esther Creek, where 11 winemakers, Canadian winemakers, are going to travel to wine country here. So because now that we're back from Niagara, this is the focus of Carl's Wine Club. Mira and I are going to focus on the satellite tasting around the event, but also the main event. The lineup has been set. The promotion is going to start very, very, very soon, aka this week. We're going to start announcing all of our panel of winemaker who are going to be present, from Nova Scotia to 5 people from Ontario, all of our BC representative, for an astonishing 11 people panel that you guys, the taster, the Carl's Wine Club members, the Canadian wine lovers, are going to be tasting wines and with the pros and the winery owners. Sorry about that. So yeah. So that's for what's coming up with us. But this week, Laley and Stonebridge were just coming back from Niagara, and we had an amazing party at Stonebridge. I'm going to wait a little bit. We're going to talk a little, because Mira, as we speak, is downloading some pictures and videos of what we've experienced live with some members while we were in wine country. Oh, geez. Sorry. While we were in wine country. So I'm going to wait for her, because she's going to have pictures to support what we're describing, because we had some incredible experience. I mean, for people who toured with us, for people who were part of our events, you understood what exactly it is to tour like a rock star with Carl's Wine Club. I mean, it was absolutely incredible. The experience we encountered was like beyond world class. I mean, at Batchelder, we went to visit Thomas Batchelder and Mary, and we tasted a mind-boggling 25 wines in 2 hours. I mean, it was beyond crazy. And we were joking with Thomas. We were speed dating tasting, and we had that. What a great time. Mike, the average wine enthusiast, was on site. So we had some great time. Pictures coming up to prove the absolute. I mean, it was a carnage out there at the Bat Cave. So yeah, Dale Cadeau is joining us. Dale, how are you doing today? Good evening. Dale has a plot wine, the thick tonight. So Dale, put in the comments here. What are you thinking? What's your opinion of the thick? I mean, I tasted that for the first time last summer when one of the owner of Plot came to our backyard here, and we tasted their whole lineup. And this Chardonnay Viognier really got my attention by the creamy texture, and like there was is so much going on, and that's why I put it in the pack a couple weeks ago, because I thought it was really cool to have Viognier and Chardonnay blended together. And I think, like, even if there can be two big and bold grape varietals, they were doing a very good job to have the assemblage of these two grapes was just providing a really cool flavor profile. So Dale, you can put in the comments here just your like, there can be a score out of 100, just like what you think. It can be just a couple words. I don't want to put you to work, but I just wanted your general opinion on that wine. It was also really great to meet you last week, last Friday. Was it Friday? No, it wasn't. We met on Thursday at the Vintage Conservatory in Toronto, where we had our very special back vintage tasting in collaboration with l'Académie du Vin and Marc Nadeau. So an incredible tasting last Thursday night. I still have some goosebumps thinking about that tasting, because there was so much history, so much stories, so much emotion in the room, and the wines absolutely supported, absolutely shine, improve our theory that Canadian wine can age like some of the best world-class international gem. And it was on full display last Thursday in Toronto. So we're going to recap that, and I know that Mira has some really cool picture of that also. So it's going to be supported by the picture. We had Richard De Silva with us, who told the story of his family and the De Silva vineyard to our guests in Toronto. People were like, and it was so cool. And Ilya Senchuk, owner, winemaker at Leaning Post in Niagara, was also on site telling his story and showing his wine. Their two wines were from the 2012 vintage. But yeah, we had an incredible night in Toronto. Hello to Jeanette Flynn, and Danny, who are tuning in right now. So we are live on our Facebook page at Carl's Wine Club, live also on YouTube, LinkedIn, and I believe that Instagram should be on as well. Not sure. I know that they change a little bit of the rules with our streaming software, but I think that Instagram are on as well. So everyone in the Canadian wine industry, members of the industry, welcome. Happy Wine Wednesday. Carl's Wine Club members, we're glad to have you from across the country. So today we're talking about Stonebridge Winery. I want to recap a little bit the feature that we're doing, okay? And why Laylee here, right here. Yeah, Laylee, here, Laylee. Laylee and Stonebridge are, to my opinion, such a special lineup of wine, because first and foremost, the Laylee brand, who's been purchased by Faik a couple years after he started the Stonebridge vineyard. The Laylee vineyard is literally a historic vineyard in Niagara on the lake, and was planted in the 70s. from the Lely family. It was manicured by the Lely family for 40 years. And they were selling their fruit to some of the very, very, very top producer of Niagara, especially Niagara on the Lake. They were known to not only produce some of the top-notch wine, while the Niagara wine, see, we're not always producing some really, really great wine back in the 80s, but the Lely Vineyard always produced some of the greatest fruits of Ontario. And Faic purchased that vineyard in 2020. Now, so instead of building the new winery at Stonebridge Vineyard, the winery and the tasting room on the Stonebridge, when he had the opportunity to purchase Lely Vineyard, he just brought his production from the Stonebridge Vineyard to Lely. This plot of land in the 4 Mile Creek appellation produced some of the very, very best Chardonnay. Some of the very best Chardonnay, and the proof is that they brought gold from Chardonnay du Monde last year. So the East Block, the Reserve East, has won gold at Chardonnay du Monde, and the West Reserve has won silver. So two of the wine who won some of the very top award at the most prestigious Chardonnay competition. So that's what, to me, that Stonebridge Vineyard is one of the very, very precious piece of land in Niagara on the Lake, in the 4 Mile Creek appellation. And also, not a small fact, that these wines are made by the iconic winemaker, consultant winemaker, Peter Gamble, supported by Anne Sperling. The fantastic duo, the powerful duo, are known on the international stage, and they are some of the very, very most knowledgeable and capable winemaker in the country. So when you have a wine made by Peter and Anne, that you know that they know what they're doing, because they don't jump into a project to make average wines. That's one thing that I've learned looking at their portfolio, tasting their wines, because that's something we're also going to talk about. We went to another project that they're working on. We're going to have a picture of that. It's called Dobbin Estate. And I mean, when Peter and Anne decide to embark in an adventure with a winery owner, this is to be at the very top of the industry. And Stonebridge is this reflection. Stonebridge is this absolute snapshot of a newcomer coming into a very crowded and very challenging industry and absolutely crushing it right out of the gate. And you know my passion for Chardonnay. You know how critical I can be for average Chardonnay. These wines absolutely blew my socks off. I have a 94 plus, I have a 94, I have a 93. So these are filled with incredible quality wines. So that's why we wanted to extend that feature this week and to talk about the Stonebridge and Lely feature. That's Weigel that we have right there. It's the very best Weigel that I've tasted in Canada. I have not tasted a better Weigel across the board in the last 5 years that I've been tasting Canadian wines. There's not one that I rated higher than 93 points. This is this very one. And
so I got to ask, okay, because I haven't had too many Zweigelts myself, because we limit, we've had mainly Canadian wines. There's not that many Zweigelts. What's special about Zweigelts? Because I think it's kind of an up and coming, pretty trendy little.
It is a European grape where it's very, very popular in Austria. I mean, this is something who's very popular around the world, around the the hip and hype scene of the New York City, Montreal, Paris, London. It's a kind of grape who provide great acidity. It's a kind of grape who produce a a beautiful roundness. It's soft. And there's also a little bit of the gamey approach. It can be a great minerality. Zweigelt is very in right now. It's very popular in the Somme circle. A little bit like the Gruner Veltliner on the white side, but the Zweigelt is nowadays a little bit of the, let's say, the popular child on the block in terms of the international grape. And we have a few good spots here in Canada. And this one is my very, very favorite, 93.8. Won gold at the National Wine Line last year as well. So I'm not the only one to think that way. And Mira, the glass that you have with the Z on.
Yeah, this one.
Because there's a few glass in front of you today.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 glasses full of wine in front of me.
So there's 2 wines. One is the CS and one is the Z.
Yeah.
These were 2 wines that I put a rubber cork on the bottle before we left for Niagara 10 days ago.
Oh, wow.
10 days ago? Yeah. And I didn't pump the bottle because these are like a little cork with the lid at the top, and if you pump the air out, it can preserve your wine for a little longer because it takes the oxygen out of the bottle.
Or it gives you a good seal, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So your wine is not in contact with air, with the oxygen, so like it prevents against oxidation, right? So that Zweigelt has been open for 2.5 weeks now.
That's pretty spectacular.
And 10 days without a seal. This is pretty freaking mind-boggling, I'm telling you. And the other one, the CS, is the Cab Sauv. I just did a test last night just for fun. I just wanted to see what he's going to do. It with both of us look at each other like, what? This is impossible, for God's sake.
Yeah. Dale saying, because Dale is a club member at Stonebridge and Lely, first club member from what I recall, which is really cool. He says Zweigelt is so easy drinking, chill a bit like a Pinot. This is the Lely's Zweigelt. Yeah, totally. I think that's why it's hot right now in terms of the trends, because a lot of people are really enjoying these lighter bodied reds like the Zweigelt and the Gamay.
Yeah, and this Zweigelt is more of a medium body Zweigelt. It's not that little light, like light in color as well. There's a pretty opaque color. There's a nice purple, and it doesn't have that grippy tannin, right? So I kind of feel like these grape varietals without that big grippy tannin are coming back with popularity, and Zweigelt is one of the and that's also very, very delicious. I remember bringing that bottle for Easter while you were away this year in Victoria for Easter. Was it Easter? Anyway, and I brought a bottle of this Zweigelt to Rob Amersley, where he invited us for dinner, and that was the wine of the night. And we had a lot of great wine open that night. And this wine was the wine of the night. So, I mean, yeah, crazy, really cool. So there's one of the one that I wanted to highlight. There's also another one, like Cabernet Sauvignon is not a cheap wine anymore on the market. I think we all know that. And the purchaser, the buyer, the members know that, especially from a good vintage, right? 2020 in Ontario, it's one of the, or if not the best vintage for big, bold grape varietals. So Stonebridge has produced their 2020 Cabernet Sauvignon, and it's available for something like $50.
Yeah, I think it's 54 including tax, which BC people, that's something like 47 or 46 or pretty
So if you follow the premium wine scene, $47 plus tax for a Cab Sauv from a great vintage, it's a heck of a deal. And this wine not only delivers, but over-deliver big time. It's a tank. Like, it's been open for 2.5 weeks, and it's still rocking big time.
Yeah, totally. So here's the crazy thing about Stonebridge and Lely, and this is what part of why we decided to extend it. In the history of the club, very few wineries give us discounts because wineries don't really have big room for discounts, and we discourage that because really, like, if they can give us 10% off, I'd rather they give us free shipping. So we usually try to get the free shipping for you guys or the reduced shipping. And Laylee has decided to do both. So this has only happened like a couple times since we started the club. So Laylee is
Absolutely.
both giving us like their older pricing on these bottles. So you can save $43 with the more premium 6-pack. And then you can get a 6-pack, which includes that Zweigelt, as well as some other really great wines under $30 a piece. You can get those wines for $120. So you're saving $21 on that pack. So it's a really great deal. And there's also free shipping or reduced shipping. So very fabulous time to try this winery.
Yeah,
And
and that Lely Riesling says off dry, right? The 2022 says hop dry. Don't get misleaded by the label. And I had a conversation with Peter about that, and I mean, this is dry. It's not like there's 7 grams of residual sugar in that Riesling, and it shows in your mouth almost bone dry. The little bit of residual sugar just shows up as a textural component of that wine. This is really cool. This is geeky. This is round, but there's also a precision on the finish. I really, really enjoyed that. If you're a Riesling fan, give it a try. I'm telling you, like there's some cool wines. A 4-pack of Lely wines are really cool. This is for over 50-year-old vines from the Niagara River appellation. So worth trying, that is for sure. And I mean, I saved that part for dessert for the end, but I mean, our number 6 wine of the year is part of that. What of that pack with Stonebridge, the Reserve Cabernet Franc 2019 is part of it. The best Cab Franc tasted last year. Wine Line gave them a silver medal. I totally disagree with this one. This should be platinum without a shadow of a doubt. This 19 right now is absolutely off the chart. And there is 4 Chardonnays in that pack. There's the 18 Reserve. There's the 19. And there's also, and we've done a blind taste challenge at the winery with the pros last week. Which one liked the Reserve West and the Reserve East the most? Both wine have won the major competition at Chardonnay du Monde. It was incredibly fun to do that. But if you're a collector, if you're someone who have a wine cellar and you are in the premium category buyer, think about buying Stonebridge Chardonnay. First time I tasted them was last year at our Chardonnay marathon. I didn't know anything about Stonebridge. And the 3 Stonebridge that I had in the lineup last year, I mean, I've never tasted them before, and boom, this showed up at my door, and things I'm absolutely blown away. And we have them this year in the feature. The West, the Reserve West cannot be purchased anywhere. It's been put away, exclusively available for their little wine club that they have. So there's a few wines in there that you can get, but just with us. But if you're thinking of stocking with Chardonnays, your cellar for a long time, or you want to age them, or you want to drink them now because they are absolutely drinking fantastically right now. I mean, Mira, I want your opinion because a couple of weeks ago, before we left for Niagara, we tasted these wines all week, and I mean, I think you had a blast tasting
These are
Chardonnays.
spectacular wines. Is this SC one? Is that a Stonebridge one?
No, SC
Ah,
is no, SC is
I have
what?
7 glasses, you guys, and Carl labeled them all
Yeah,
cryptic.
I labeled them all. It's the South Flow from Klaus and
Okay, because I was
Shays.
gonna say this is spectacular, and I mean, yeah, like it
This
reminds me
is
of the
though.
Stonebridge, but I was
This is Stonebridge level.
mhm.
The Leo Spooner from Spooner on Wine just give that wine 95 points.
Okay.
She lost her marble on that wine. Last
Oh,
year, for me, South Clo, this is the new release, the 2021. The South Clo 2020 was 94 points, and the South Clo Pinot Noir was 95 plus. So, I mean, we'll talk Claus and Chase in half an hour time. But yeah, SC, it's a South Clo. I've been working on these tasting notes all week because now that we're talking about it, it's going to be our feature next week. The crown jewel of Prince Edward County is in the house, and we're going to feature Claus and Chase, and we're going to talk with my buddy Keith Dyer. Keith, who is going to be traveling in June. Man, it's in a month and a half, babe. A month and a half, Mira.
the Pan Canadian, baby.
So Keith is coming from Prince Edward County to BC to share the church side Chardonnay. But what you have in your glass right now, it's the one part of the Claus and Chase Vineyard. Claus and Chase Vineyard it's split in 2 blocks: church side and the South Clo, and you have South Clo in the CCV. It's the church side vineyard. So the
Okay,
Claus and
they're
Chase, the
beauties.
Claus and
Oh,
Chase Vineyard.
they are beauties. They are beauties. Okay, well, let's share a little bit of what happened in Niagara, because some of you guys who are here live, you were there. You were there. You might see your picture here. It's pretty spectacular what we did. So we started out at Vineland Estates. Carl's parents drove down from Quebec to help us look after our 3 kids, right? So here they are. We get to Vineland. I mean, beautiful. Like, it's wine country. What's more relaxing than being around grapevines?
Okay, so let's a little bit of backstory here. My parents were never in the wine business. They were not wine drinker. They started to taste wine, to drink wine when we started Carl's Wine Club. My parents are not in the premium wine category purchaser. Let's put it that way. They're cheap and sureful. They're a big fan of Vineland Estate. Their go-to, what they're drinking on a weekly basis, it's the Vineland 1595 Riesling and their Cabernet Franc 1995. They're entry level. That's what they like, but they love Vineland Estate. So, as a thank you for them to take care of the kids for the rest of the week, we took them to Vineland to meet with Brian Schmid. And because our friend Brian do not do anything halfway, he doesn't do small thing. He hosted us like if we were royalty. Oh my God, it was absolutely incredible. Mira, I'm getting your opinion here.
What?
What did you think of our experience?
So we tasted the 327 and the 214 Boutique Cab Franc, which, I mean, if you guys recall, if you were around last two years ago when we went to the Winery of the Year celebration at Bellaterra, right? We went to Vineland for the first time with a group of members, and Brian took us tailgating in the vineyard to the Boutique Vineyard. On one side of the road where the truck was, where we were, on one side was the 327 clone of Cab Franc. On the other side of the road,
planted in 1996. The other one, it's the 214, planted in 2004.
Yeah, and we tasted those 2 wines side by side, right in the middle between the 2 vineyards, right? And amazing how they're treated the same way by the winemaker, but the wines taste so different because one is a younger vine and they're two different clones. Those are the two big differences. Very interesting. So we got to taste those two wines side by side from what, 2021 and 2022?
No. So what we had here like last week, we had the 2020 and the 2020 and the 2022. So these are the 2022 are not going to be really, they were bottled 6 weeks ago. Okay. They're going to be in the cellar at Vineland for another year and a half. These bottles are not even close to be hitting the market, but we tasted. That's funny because Brian and I, we just realized that we're cut. No, it's my stepdad said, you guys are talking in code or what? So here is how we're talking. Yeah. What do you think of the 2020 324, 327? Do you prefer the 2022 214 or 216? Like, so we had these two single clone from 3 different vintages because we had in bottle 2022 and 2020, but we also had in decanters. In the decanters, it was from the barrel, the 2023 from the barrel. So yeah,
it's pretty spectacular. Yeah. So after we went to Vineland, which was like beyond our expectations. I mean, they had a spread for us. We walked through the entire winery. I'm going to put together a little reel or 2 about it because we walked through the whole thing, the carriage house, the production facility.
We tasted the Chardonnay, the Chardonnay Shirley unfiltered straight from the barrel, which was
from the tank. It was amazing. And then we went to Stratus because it was Earth Day. And Stratus was releasing kind of a first in Canada, right? Stratus in Niagara on the Lake. So they released their field blend, the 2021 field blend. And what's special about this was that it was made in fully reused bottles. So they stored all the bottles from their tasting room for a whole season. They had a company locally wash and sterilize those bottles, and then they bottled new wine in those reused bottles. So
in the same bottle. So they took the label off. It was really like, please, sorry, I cut you off. Keep going.
Oh, you could see 2 stamps of when the bottle was bottled on the engraved in the glass, which is
that was cool because you got that little code in the bottom. It says September 2021, and you have another one saying November 2023. So it's really, really cool. So it's a Tanat, Petit Verdot, and Malbec blend. I mean, they grow 14 different varietals at the Stratus Vineyard in the lake. Shoot, I forgot my conversation with Dean.
We'll do more about that soon because I have so much footage on video about it. It's fascinating. And we toured their whole Stratus Vineyards, their whole facility there. It's all gravity fed, which means it's actually quite massive. It was the first lead winery in the world.
In 2002.
The founders, they own a company that does like interiors for schools and hospitals and stuff like that. They're very big on architecture and design. And so they were the first 20 plus years ago, they were the first LEED certified winery in the world, which means the whole building is made to be like carbon neutral, basically. Like they have a huge, what do you call that? Like a field under the winery. So there's no air conditioners or heaters. Everything comes up and down through.
It's all geothermal. It's
you go.
It's geothermal. So they're taking the energy from the earth to produce their own. So it's really, really, really cool. It was like they were, like you mentioned, it was the first one in the world back in 2002. I've never tried, that's crazy because I've never tried Stratus wine before until I tried the white, the 2006 white that we featured on the Thursday night. So we're starting, and one of the the mediator for our at the conference, our session that we were talking to was the estate manager at Stratus. So we got in connect. So we got in connection, and we were invited. We did the live there, but we also tasted 8 of their wines, and more they're working with Amphora at Stratus. So we tasted Chardonnay, the 2021 Surly in barrel, and the Surly in amphora. Same winemaking, same amount of time, same wine. One age in barrel and one age in amphora, side by side. And it was really freaking cool.
Amphora, right? Like clay. That's what we mean by amphora. It's like a clay vessel, like very ancient type of winemaking, right? Yeah. So it was fascinating. This is Dean Strikeout, a winemaker. They had a spread for us there too. So I mean, it's great because normally when we go to wine country, we forget to pack our lunch, and we think, oh, we'll just go pick up a sandwich somewhere, but in wine country, it's pretty rural. There's nowhere to go get a quick sandwich usually. So we were very grateful that they all fed us. And then
also another wine you absolutely blew my socks off at Stratus that I have to mention. Their Cabernet Franc was outstanding. And also the Brut Surly traditional method. Their sparkling was off the chart.
Yes.
I mean,
part of the reason we were in connection with Stratus was because we had a back vintage tasting that's coming up. We'll show you like a few pictures we got from that. So tasting Canadian wines going back to 2006. And the 2006, guys, was a white wine, a blend from Stratus. And it's drinking like almost as if it was released yesterday. I mean, it's almost a 20-year-old white wine. And it is drinking beautifully. It's spectacular.
Well, I guess was one of the 3 highlights of the back vintage tasting in Niagara. So, well, there was 3 or 4 who absolutely shine, and that Stratus was one of them. I mean, watch your inbox because I mean, Stratus is going to be in the lineup at Carl's Wine Club. I can guarantee you, probably in the fall or early winter. But we are going to do something with Stratus. I mean, Dean's, the winemaker, is a fascinating guy. He's a young winemaker, but really, really cool guy. I really like that. I like their team. I like the winery. I like their wines. So it was really cool to be there.
Awesome. So what happened next in Niagara is actually a big reason why we were there at this particular time. We were invited to speak at the Craft Wineries Conference. This is Carl in the room. We didn't really get any pictures. We were in 2 talks speaking, and so we didn't get pictures of ourselves speaking, but it was a fantastic conference for the wine industry, and we were excited to share just like how do you build community in the wine industry, and how do you talk to people
basically wanted to know how we build Carl's Wine Club, and how do we keep engaging with our members, and how like that was like basically telling our story, right?
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun, totally fun. And of course, that night we met up with our friend Marcel Morgenstern of Bellaterra and Burnship Bay and Enovino Wine Aerators. He stopped by our place where we were with Carl's parents, with our kids, with Marcel's wife, and we had a nice taco dinner from a place in Niagara Falls. So
yeah, so nice. Oh, here you go. Okay.
Yeah. And then the next day, oh boy, did we go winery touring the next 2 days. Holy smokes. So first stop on the Wednesday the Wednesday it was Dobbin Estate. So funny, we're featuring Stonebridge and Lely this week. The same winemaking team is also behind Dobbin Estate and Sperling.
Do you have the video when we walk up the stairs and we got upstairs? No. But so they have a tower. They don't have a tower. Yeah. Sorry, Mira, go ahead.
Yeah, this is a garden tower. So it's a beautiful property. And we actually went up 3 flights of stairs to get to the top of this tower. And then you have this like panoramic view of the vineyards and the pond. Pretty spectacular. And you can have private tastings there, we found out, which is really cool for like, birthday party or something like that. It'd be great. So that's us
Oh,
at the top of the
pair
tower.
with the incredible food. I mean, it's a
Very
local chef. Anyway,
Yeah. So this is Nathan and the estate manager, and we tasted. I mean, this is ultra premium wine at Dobbin. This is ultra premium, but it is worth every penny of ultra premium. I mean, we tasted Cabernets, we tasted Chardonnays, we tasted Rieslings, and we listened, of course, to these epic people, Peter Gamble and Anne Sperling. I mean, their knowledge is incredible. They just got back from where in South America, Carl?
Argentina. They own a piece of property in the Uco Valley, and they produce something like 300-400 cases every year of Malbec from the Uco Valley. A $70 Malbec that has been imported to some of the top restaurants in France. But that's it. I mean, this is very. Peter Gamble is bigger than nature. Like when you talk to him, his charisma, his knowledge, his stature. I mean, he feels like he is 10'12", and like I mean, it's just such an incredible. He is an encyclopedia. He's been mapping the Niagara terroir since the 70s. He was involved. He was one of the guy who put Benjamin Bridge on the map. He is behind dozens and dozens of wineries in Niagara. He was telling us the story that him, Thomas Batchelder, the people at Hidden Bench, Cave Spring brought some of the mostly skilled and sought after technicians from France to dig pits all over the Beamsville bench, or the 20-mile bench, to find the plot of lands with the most sulfur, with the most packed nutriment. And it was like 12, 15 years ago. And he said one of the land had a 3 out of 3 across their place. And funny enough, this is the place where Dobbin is now. So, I mean, the level of knowledge about the soil, about the grapes, about the vintages, about everything. Peter Gamble has it all. And Anne Sperling, she's a specialist of organic viticulture. She is also an incredible winemaker. So both together are like some of the most sought after wine people in the country.
Absolutely. It was spectacular. So
for you and me, Mira, being sitting there and listening to the story and to their knowledge, to me, it was very, very, very special.
Very special. Yeah. Amazing wines too, and amazing food, and amazing place. Like everything was just perfect. So definitely a place to stop by. It's by appointment. And a good place if you're going in a larger group and your group likes very high-end wines. I
would like to highlight 2 wines of our tasting at Dobbin's.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Riesling. There's 2 Riesling on the flight. Not the dry Riesling, but the regular Riesling was the absolute highlight for me. And let me tell you something. When a Riesling outscores a Chardonnay, that Riesling is better being fucking good. I'm telling you, okay? Because the Chardonnay was no slouch. The Chardonnay was fantastic. Listen, it's a Peter Gamble Chardonnay from 20-mile bench, top source of fruit. And when I'm asking Peter, I say, Peter, which source of fruit is that? What was the grower? And his answer is like, I just forgot. With a big smile in his face, right? So he's keeping that close to his vest. But because they replanted 2/3 of the existing vineyard at Dobbin, so they had to source. And because Peter's been in the center stage of the wine industry for so long that he knows all of the top grower, so he can get his hand on some pretty fantastic fruit. So that I thought it was one of the things that would make me laugh really hard. Like, where did you get these fruits from? Oh, I forgot. I was like, yeah, right.
You never forget.
So it was one of the highlight of my trip. That very 2 hours sitting at the top of the
Very
tower there at Dublin was really, really special.
a real treat. And then we went right after that, about 3 minutes down the road, and we got to meet members. So Richard Da Silva came, Mike
Michelle and John Lewis.
Michelle and John were there. Sandy and Daryl came down from closer to Toronto. So everyone traveled to get there, and they met us at Wendingholm, which is a completely new on our radar winery. But one of those, overnight successes, 40 years in the making, because the owners have been involved in wine and making wine for 30, 40 years. Ron Giesbrich, the winemaker, has been a teacher at Niagara College for many years.
So Ron was also the winemaker at Pelham, at Henry of Pelham, for 25 years. I mean, Ron was making the wine, built the reputation of Henry of Pelham from the ground up, and making that place one of the biggest producer of Ontario, producing all of the Speck Family Brothers line, where our top Chardonnay, Pinot Noir. So Ron is no slouch winemaker. I mean, a really, really, really good winemaker. And also a teacher at Niagara College. I like, Mira, bring me back to that picture with the average wine enthusiast. I love that picture so much. This is really freaking cool. I didn't see that one.
Yeah, so I mean, Wendingholm, I mean, they blew our socks off. Ying, I believe, is Ron's wife and partner in the winery.
No, but I'm not. Okay, it's Ron's partner in the business. That's what I know for sure. The other part, I am not sure, and I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Ron's partner in the business, Ying, made us some traditional Chinese dishes.
Chicken.
Like a chicken dish, and there was like all these snacks out. Like, we did not expect this at all. And they were so welcoming, and the wines, terrific wines and great value. Holy cow. I mean,
and when we're supposed to have like 6, 7 wines,
yeah,
and he keeps popping cork, and you already left because we were hosting a party at Stonebridge. The general manager was sick, couldn't be there. So Mira had to bolt from Wendingholm to go to Stonebridge to get the place ready. And now I know deep inside of me, I said, oh my God, that's not going to end up well. We're going to be stuck here in a good way, right? And Ron keep opening one. And he said, you know what? Oh, I forgot. We need to taste the Syrah. Oh, shoot, the Cabernet Franc. And he's been opening. I think we ended up tasting 15 wines. So it was fantastic. Ron is a geek.
It was epic.
Yeah.
Total wine geek. Totally our kind of person. But then we ended up finally going to where we needed to be for the evening, which was our live on location show last Wine Wednesday at Stonebridge and Lely. See, we're both wearing Lely shirts. That's why we were there. And guess who brought my favorite madeleines and macaroons? Freshly made that morning, might I add, by Sandy, none other.
The best baker in Carl's Wine Club wine list, over 13,000 members. Yeah. Sandy is the number one baker of the
of the crew
of Carl's Wine Club. And there's a funny story. Okay, I need to tell that story. So Margarita DiProfio, Fred DiProfio's wife, came on location. So Fred and Margarita are there. We invited members, Carl's Wine Club members, and members of the Niagara wine industry. And surprisingly, we had 25 to 30 people from the Niagara wine industry showing up, where Carl's Wine Club member can hang out with and chat wine. So Fred DiProfio, very well acclaimed winemaker in Niagara, famously very, very known for to be the Bellaterra winemaker, so make all the wine at Bellaterra and other, but also has his own label, Fred Wines. So Margarita and Fred are there chatting with people, and at some point, right by the end of the party, Margarita saw Sandy,
Yeah.
because they met each other last summer at
Oh,
the
yeah.
Winery of the Year party, and Margarita fell in love with Sandy's Madeleine. And just for a joke, Margarita says, "Hey, nice to see you. Where the heck are the Madeleine and the macaroon?" And,
And she had them.
and Sandy's answer was, "Right there on the table." So it was brilliant.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was so good to see everyone. It was amazing. And guess what? Even the mayor of Niagara on the Lake stopped by, Gary Zalepa. He was there and started out the evening with us. Really special.
Mira, I had a few bleep in my career, and I remember telling like Sir Charles Branson to F off at a hotel that I used without knowing who he was. And there's things like that.
Richard Branson.
Richard Branson.
Yeah.
And anyway, but the one last Wednesday, I'm not close to forget that one.
Yeah, we launched into our live. You can watch the replay, guys. We were live on location.
I completely blanked out and I forgot Gary's name. And I'm live introducing the mayor of Niagara on the Lake, and I go, yeah.
It's okay. Nothing a little wine can't, lighten up. So it was all good. But yeah, it was a real pleasure. So that was at Stonebridge and Lely, and we tasted their wines live. We had the blind tasting with members. People wrote on the bottle which one they liked more, East versus West. Interestingly, the East Chardonnay won Chardonnay du Monde gold. The West won silver, right?
Yep.
And the West was more popular.
And it's not surprising though, because the West is a little bit more plush, a little rounder, a little bit more modern. The East is a little bit more restrained, precise, more complex. It's a little more cerebral. We had that conversation, Peter and I, and like I said, I was not surprised. I was just happy that I choose the one that I rated the highest.
Right, as the one you like more. Well, hey,
I mean, I rated both the week before. I gave 94 plus to one and 93 plus to the other. I would have looked like a fool if I choose which one I like the most the week after the one that I rated the least points. So I'm glad that I choose the East as my favorite. But more people choose the West. Peter Gamble choose the West. We had Jeff Moot at Divergence who choose the West. I had the list of all of these people, but it was fun to have all these winemakers to taste these wines side by side.
Very fun. It was really awesome. And then it keeps going, you guys. So the next.
And no, but before you finish, just 1 second. Another thing was really cool at the party at Lely. It's all of the people from the industry brought some of their wines from their wineries. So we ended up tasting the new Gamay Rosé from Divergence. Gabriel DeMarco from Cave Spring brought the new release of the CSV 2020. We have Stratus, Amphora, Cabernet Franc. So we had a bunch of different wines from the Niagara wine industry to taste alongside the Stonebridge wine. So it was a really, really cool party.
Very cool. And then it keeps going. There's two more incredible things that, I mean, there'll be some reels and some videos coming out.
So hold on a sec, okay? Wednesday night, okay, our day was packed. We went home at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, no, 8:30 after Stonebridge. We were flat out, completely tired.
And then the next day, here we are, first thing after breakfast.
We knew that we were starting our day with a visit at the Bat Cave.
The Bat Cave secret location in Niagara. the place to visit with Thomas Batchelder and Mary Delaney behind Batchelder Wines, a very special and very geeky project where Thomas essentially like a monk mapping out the vineyards of Niagara. It's spectacular. And so we tasted so many wines. Just one second.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, I think I lost Mira for a second here. So we got there. Okay, I have a funny story. So Thomas is also the winemaker for Le Clos Jordan in Niagara, one of the most famous estates in Niagara. So Thomas is a winemaker there. So he called me in the morning and said, Carl, I'm stuck at Clos Jordan. I can't start at 11. Can we do it at noon? I said, no problem. So when we got there at noon, Thomas wasn't there, and Mary, we were arriving, and at 12:15, Thomas had not showed up just yet. So Mary come to me, and she drew up 5 bottles of Chardonnay, all different, and she said, Carl, you are taking care of that. You are working. So here I am from BC, just in Niagara, there for business, and I'm starting to do the tasting at the Bat Cave, taking Thomas Batchelder's spot. So it was quite hilarious because I tasted and we featured all of these wines in Carl's Wine Club 3 weeks prior to our trips. I've tasted these wines. So with our guests, I started the tasting in place of Thomas Batchelder, and when Thomas showed up, finally he took over, myself leading the tasting at the Bat Cave. That's pretty funny, Mira.
That was awesome. I mean, it was so informal, but so epic that I mean,
it is always epic. It is always epic at the Bat Cave. It's always epic sharing knowledge with Thomas Batchelder. We talk about music. We talk about pairing wine and music. He put some songs on, and we had some music player in the room. Like Richard De Silva is a big guitar guy. Mike, the wine enthusiast, is a big music guy. So it was a very emotional kind of experience. I mean, we tasted 25 wines, for God's sake, in 2 hours. And the thing is, we had
2 hours. It was 25 wines in like an hour. I mean, it was
not
fast.
in an hour, more than that. But I mean, we had to be in Toronto by 4 o'clock. Because we were hosting our Cellar Gem Back Vintage tasting in Toronto. So there was no, we can't stay longer. We pushed the limit all the way. And there was traffic on the way. So anyway, that experience, I have to say, now there's the new 2022 vintages from the new release of Thomas. And there's a new Chardonnay Village, the Lincoln Lake Shore, who is absolutely impressive. There's the Willie. It was a new one. The Gamay are all out. The Gamay 22s are really, really spectacular. So here is like a bunch of pictures. Thank you, Mira. Oh, great job. Look at that. Wismer, Willie, Kirby. And we had some cool. Another one. Thomas kept opening bottle after bottle when we're like, stop, we need to go. And he's kept like saying, okay, now we need to do.
He's amazing.
And like we tasted 3 Pinot Noir at the very end. All of these vineyards were separated by 20 meters each. 20 meters, okay? So these are 3 plots of land side by side in 3 very, very different wines. So we had the Hank, the Foxcroft, and which one is the? I think it's the.
I mean, I stopped taking pictures after the 6 Gamay Noirs, but we did have 8 Chardonnays and 8 Pinot Noirs after that. So yeah, it was quite
we were playing a game, right? Thomas had us to find similarities of flavors and aromas in Pinots and Chardonnay. Find the thing that smelled the same in a Pinot and a Chardonnay.
from the same vineyards. That's
That
how
was
you
the
get
thing, right?
specific about the terroir. It's fascinating because that's one of the things Thomas talks about is when you get to real terroir differences, it's going to be that same kind of nuance in a red and a white. That's the terroir speaking. And that's what's fascinating.
Yeah. So again, it was a very memorable moment. I mean, I will never forget that 2 hours at the back cave. I
Oh
don't
my
think that Mike, the average wine enthusiast, is never going to forget that. He was in shock when I saw him at the Vintage Conservatory a couple hours later. He was still trying to rationalize, to
What just
understand
happened?
what just happened to him. He was like, I feel I just got hit by a truck. I still don't understand what just happened to me. And Jan, this part was like, I don't know. It was just too much for me.
That was amazing. So then
Yeah.
that la pièce de résistance of our whole trip, it was pretty spectacular, was this next part where we went with Richard De Silva, winemaker from BC, with Ilya Senchuk, winemaker from Niagara, to the Vintage Conservatory. Members Dale, Simon, they were there traveling from out of town. Mike and Jennifer were there, as well as quite a nice list of members from the Vintage Conservatory and l'Académie du Vin, which is what a wine tasting kind of academy that was founded by Stephen Spurrier and Mark Nadeau. Mark was there with us tonight, organized this with us. So Canadian and international icons that stand the test of time. Yes.
So we worked on that for at least 3 to 4 months, right?
Yeah.
It was such an incredible project to work on. We met Mark Nadeau last year when we did our Winery of the Year celebration. No, when we did the Pan Canadian last year.
The Pan Canadian and Niagara. Yes.
And so we had the privilege to meet Mark, and we talked about that briefly. And we came back in September, and we talked about it before Christmas. And after Christmas, we said, okay, should we really do it? If we want to do it, let's do it. So we worked on it. We selected, Mark selected all of the international jam, and I was in charge of selecting the Canadian selection. But what an incredible process. What so rewarding to see these wines that you choose to show so well in that context that night. I mean, it was incredible to have Richard De Silva with us, to have Ilya Senchuk with us. The food, the room, the service, but the stories. There was nothing more powerful than the stories behind the whole thing. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was really spectacular. And I don't have pictures of every bottle here, but I mean, what, 10 Canadian wines going back to 2006?
Yeah.
And I think 5 internationals going back to 1988. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the dessert, the cherry on the cake was the cherry on the icing was the 1988 Chateau d'Yquem, who is one of the first growth of Bordeaux, one of the most famous is the only one that it did one category for the top dessert wine in the world, and it's Yquem. There's no one close from Yquem. And yeah, 1988 Yquem in our glass that night. It was I mean, I tasted a lot of incredible international wines. I had some 61 Bordeaux's, but I don't think I've ever had something like that. And there was incredible stories. Mark told us some stories about Stephen Spurrier. Richard told us the stories of his family. Ilya told us the story of Leaning Post. It was special, just plain and simple, special. And what I'm the most proud of is how our Canadian wines have shined last Thursday night. I mean, the 2012 Legado Merlot from De Silva, the 2012 Leaning Post Lorry from Leaning Post were the two incredibly highlighted wines. I mean, it was a fantastic. The 2006 Stratus White was mind-bogglingly expressive. The Benjamin Bridge gave us all body reaction with the zip, the zing, the acid. It was incredible. I
The
mean,
2014 Cave Spring Riesling. Wow, a lot of people talking about that one. I
the
mean, every one
purity
of the
of that
wines.
wine was incredible.
Yeah, we had wine from a 2016 Mirabelle, a 2014, I believe, from Painted Rock, the Cab
The
Franc.
Cap Franc from the Fated Rock, the
Beautiful.
14 Summer Hill Spadefoot Toad, our 2015 Wine of the Year Milestone from Riverstone. I mean,
It was
the
spectacular.
lineup.
But what I want to know, okay, so this 1988 Chateau d'Yquem Sauterne wine is very much sort of a legend amongst geeky wine lovers like us. So I want to know, because Carl, I had 14 wines before this one, and even though I only had a few sips of each one, I was like, man, I wish this was the first wine of the night. So what did you think of that 88 Chateau d'Yquem? Like, how was it showing?
It's great. I tried to find the right word. Okay, it was an experience. We put all of the emphasis of that night on the Canadian wines. The goal was to make sure that we select the right Canadian wines to show that they can age. So to me, the Sauterne 88 was these wines can age for 200 years, okay? These dessert wines like that. We had a guest who tasted the 1825.
What?
Chateau d'Yquem. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Maybe you were on the other side of the table when we had that conversation. But yeah. So the 88 is not known as a great vintage, but I mean, this is such a unique wine in terms of texture, in terms of layers, in terms of complexity. There is so much going on in that wine. It was an experience on its own. If you're a fan of dessert wine, there's not a whole lot you can compare to that. Even in terms of wine in general, it's an experience. I thought, though, that I might get more. I was a little bit underwhelmed from the bottle. I think this wine needs more age to develop a little bit more. I don't want to sound weird,
wow.
Okay? It's $1,000 US bottle of wine and this and that, but it was incredibly good. But when you look at the body of work of Chateau d'Yquem, when you look at how important this maison, this producer is in the history, the world history of wine, I was a little bit underwhelmed. I was hoping for more, but it's just me. I had an incredibly high expectation. It met let's put it that way. It may have met my expectation. I was not disappointed. It didn't disappoint me. I wished it might have been a little bit more. And I know that that darn thing had more to offer. I sure did.
So it's got more to go. So 88, like how old is that even? It's like 35 years old, 30. Yeah.
Exactly.
And you're saying it needs a little more time. It's still a bit young.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quite a highlight. Yeah. Like you said, they go for about 1,200 US a bottle for this vintage. So pretty special wine. And now I can say I've had a $1,200 wine, because I don't think I could say that before. You could. What's the most expensive wine you've had, Carl?
I don't know. If you Google Chateau Palmer. But I mean, no, because back then, like, I don't know how much it's worth now. Okay, let's put it that way. 1961 Palmer, 1961 Pichon, Pichon Comtesse, 1961 Latour. So these are almost $10,000 bottles of wines. So yeah, I had Screaming Eagle, which was a great vintage at $6,000 a bottle. So
spectacular. Now I know a little bit of what that's like. And it was definitely magical. It was amazing. It was really something else. So we're so grateful. We're grateful to the Vintage Conservatory for hosting, and for Marc Nadeau and l'Académie du Vin for organizing this all with Carl and curating the wines from their cellar and from our wineries, right?
So this picture is really dear to my heart. I love that picture. That represents the highlight of our effort in the last 4 months, putting that event together, with Mark holding the 1988 ECAM, Richard holding his 2012 Legato, Lelia with his 2012 Leaning Post, Mira with the wine, who gave her some nights dreams at night.
Sleepless nights, because I wanted more of that wine. It was incredible. 2015 milestone from Riverstone in Osoyoos, right?
And I took the 06 in my hand. I took the 06 Stratus because that's the one who was the most surprising to me. So yeah, that picture means a lot. And I got a text from Marc Nadeau today, a little later this afternoon, and he said, "Carl, I would like to have a conversation about the future of that event." I think that Mark already seeing some next other cities or something, but we're going to talk about it in the next week or so. But we're not done with that. This is important for the Canadian wine industry. This is important to showcase the potential that we have in terms of aging, in terms of quality, in terms of who we are, in terms of at which level our industry is sitting right now, and that we have nothing to envy the other countries around the world. We are at the world-class level, and we too often downplay the quality of our wines. And what was in these glasses last Friday, I mean, to me, the proof is in the pudding. We have done the work. We understand our terroir. We have the great quality of producer, and the wines are absolutely shining. So it was awesome.
Yeah, spectacular.
So that was Thursday night, and we didn't get back to our B&B in Niagara Falls all day, until what? It was like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And we had our middle child waiting for us, saying, "I'm not going to bed until you guys come back." And he sure did not. He waited all the way that I got there. He fell asleep a minute after I got here.
Yeah, pretty spectacular. We don't know how he got so stubborn, but he is.
Yeah, I think he has a little bit of his mom. So
there's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so that was our
and now we're back in Summerland, BC, in the Okanagan. It's gorgeous here, and we are tasting, oh my gosh, Clausen Chase, like another treat. And that is secret surprise coming up in the club next week. So if you're a Chardonnay lover, you should be in a very happy place right now, because this week we were featuring some of the most spectacular Chardonnays in the country with Stonebridge, and next week we got even more from Prince Edward County. 6 Chardonnays.
You got that right.
6
I'm gonna take a break of Chardonnays after that, okay? But I had to. Sorry. Sometimes the winemaker says, "You know what? I make wines for me. I make wine that I like. I don't make wine for people." We hear that often, right? And I feel like in the last couple of offers, I made the offer for what I like. There are so many Chardonnays and so many like world class Cap Franc and all that. But with Clausen, the thing is, I'm such a big fan of Prince Edward County in terms of cold climate Chardonnays. I think they make some fantastic shards. And when I had the opportunity to pre-release two of their Chardonnay, and I just wanted to add more and more. So yeah, I ended up to put 6 in the lineup. There's a 94 points, there are 93 plus, there's 390. These wines are great. I had one at night for $25 tax in with absolute beauty. So yeah, we have in that pack the wine who's going to represent Prince Edward County at the Pan Canadian 2.0 here at Esther Creek. So the Churchside 2021 Chardonnay, which is not available anymore anywhere, will be available in the pack next week. So yeah, we're going to celebrate Chardonnay next week. So if you're a Chardonnay lover, there's some this week and there's some next week. So yeah, 6 of them. Also, a Pinot Gris that's in my glass right now. There's a rosé, which is in Mira's glass right now. That rosé of Pinot Noir is pretty darn spectacular. That Pinot Gris, absolutely freaking rock. We had that with El Diablo enchiladas tacos for lunch today, and it was pretty darn good.
Yeah.
So, yeah. We also have, okay, but because Daryl is listening, I have to say Daryl also have 2 Pinot Noirs in that feature. So 6 Chardonnay, 2 Pinots, a rosé, and so there's 8, 10 wines available. So yeah,
it's amazing. So okay, couple quick things, and then I think we got to wrap it up. Daryl's saying Bachelor and Gamay Noir, a new love affair. I think we've turned quite a few people onto Gamay Noir, including us. I mean, this was not a big varietal for us, Gamay Noir, until Bachelor turned us onto it. And holy cow, does he make a great Gamay Noir.
Also, a nice surprise at Wending Home. Rangisbrech make a pretty decent Gamay. I was pretty happy with the Gamay that he made at Wending Home. So
absolutely. And Dale is saying that evening at the Vintage Conservatory, where we tasted the 15 back vintages together, international and Canadian, was the highlight so far in my retirement wine education project, hobby, passion. The Canadian wines kicked it. Merci beaucoup. Yes, I so agree. The Canadian wines really showed beautifully. And
John Lewis is saying that the NOTL Chardonnay from the Village, the NOTL Chard is amazing. I totally agree with you, John. There's now 3 of Chardonnay Village. There were 1 at the beginning. Thomas quickly after added the second one. There was Bench and NOTL. So to really distinguish these 2 drastically different sub-region of Niagara, and now, just as crazy as Thomas Batchelder is, there's now a 3rd village. It's called the Lincoln Lake Shore, and we were privileged to taste that en primeur at the Bat Cave, and I brought a bottle to the Vintage Conservatory for the staff and the people to taste after dinner. So we also had a chance to open a bottle of Montrachet at the Vintage Conservatory at the end. We had a nice Chardonnay from the Montrachet appellation in France. So these wines are not often available to drink. So it was pretty cool.
Spectacular. That's awesome. All right. Well, I think the next thing you'll hear from us is a little bit more about Stonebridge Lely, of course, Clausen Chase next week, but also the Pan Canadian. So we will be sharing more and more about which wines are going to be featured. If you've been thinking about coming out to Oliver June 15th, now is the time to book your ticket. I think they're about halfway sold out. It's bigger this year than it was last year. Last year was about 60, 70 people. This year it's going to be about 90. But
it's also bigger in term of experience.
Oh yeah. So 11 of the 12 winemakers from coast to coast, from Vancouver Island to Nova Scotia, are coming in person to be part of the Pan Canadian and to speak with us about their wines while we taste them. This is something else. Like, I don't think there's anywhere else on the planet you can experience something like this.
This is so big that I have to break the panel in two. I mean, there's too many panelists that I can have them in one. So we'll go in two different phases. We're going to do the whites with all the traveling winemaker who are showcasing their white wine. Going to be at the panelists, and the red after the break, and we're going to have the people who are featuring their red. So, and I'm hoping that by the end we're going to have everyone together. And yeah. Oh, one of my favorite. This is from the Pan Canadian last year in Niagara on the lake at Bellaterra. Marcel Morgenstern and our boy Richard De Silva.
Very awesome. So it's very exciting. So if you can get to Oliver, BC, June 15th, now is the time to make that decision and get your ticket, get your spot to stay at. We are going to do some things around the 15th. So there's going to be sort of an informal members barbecue happening a couple days before and after. There's going to be a back vintage tasting of rosé from Canada's top rosé maker, Daniel Bontrin, going back to what, 2016, Carl?
2015, single vineyard Cabernet Franc. Rosé all the way back to 2015 to 23, up on the Fruitville Ridge Vineyard, including the release of this year, the 23, who's not going to be available for the next another year. But we have it available. That Seven Direction.
This was the Pinot Noir rosé. We did this one.
Tractor and Vines that we did last year all the way back to 2012. So the 2023 Tractor and Vines and 2023 Cap Franc are going to be available through Carl's Wine Club in 2 weeks. So
that's also very exciting. It's rosé season, guys. I mean, we had a big hailstorm 2 days ago here in the Okanagan. I'm seeing pictures. People posting pictures across the country with snow still. Well, guess what? It's going away. It's going away, and rosé season is here. Couple weeks. Couple
weeks. So next week we're gonna do our Wine Wednesday. I'm gonna host Keith Dyer, my buddy from Prince Edward County. Keith and I are gonna chat about the Pan Canadian and what makes Prince Edward County so special for Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. And right after, we're gonna be joined by Mark Hopley, winemaker at Hester Creek, and we're going to talk about the Judge, the 2020 The Judge, the wine who's going to be highlighted at the Pan Canadian. So next Wednesday, tune in. We have back-to-back winemaker, our feature winemaker of the year, of the week, plus the host of the Pan Canadian, Mark Hopley, will be joining us, and we're going to go, if you have everything we need to know about the Pan Canadian, it's going to be,
ready to go. Yes. All right. And so Members' Choice Winery of the Year.
Oh,
BC wineries, 3 have been shortlisted. Ontario, 3 have been shortlisted. It's up to members to vote. I've been seeing the votes coming in all evening because we just sent another note about it. We were going to announce the winners live tonight, but we sent a note that we are going to postpone that till Saturday evening. We'll pop on Saturday sometime as a surprise and announce the winners of the Members' Choice Winery of the Year. And what that means is that's where we're going to have some kind of party this fall. So if you're looking to go to wine country again, there'll be another chance to do it this fall.
I mean, it was just too close. The poll, the vote is so close in both sides of the country that I couldn't just announce a winner when someone is ahead by 2 votes. I mean, it's just too close. We have 2 cluster of it's all in. So I want the vote to keep going. Vote for your favorite winery, and hopefully we can have a clear winner.
That would be awesome. And I think, maybe starting next year, if we can get the tech to work, it'd be really cool to start voting as each winery gets tasted by members. So throughout the year, there's almost like a bit of a running tally of things that people liked. And so, it becomes a more involved involved process that way too, which is kind of fun. Because as much as we liked shortlisting the top threes, you know, eventually I'd love it for it to be very, very much member driven, even on that front. So yeah, very exciting. And those get-togethers that we do at those wineries, the Members' Choice Wineries of the Year, I mean, those have been pretty spectacular. Those have been what's led to what happened the other night with the back vintage tasting. Those were all ideas that came up when we got together with members. So it's worth a trip to wine country if you can swing it.
That's our winery this week. Lely and Stonebridge, the world-class wine of the Lely Vineyard and Stonebridge Winery. Don't miss out. And yeah, I mean, we'll chat on Saturday when we'll reveal the Ontario and BC Winery of the Year. Canadian wine lovers, Carl's Wine Club members, Mira Boucher. Yeah.